So welcome to part 2 of Zoom for Teaching and Office Hours. In part 1, we looked at settings, talked a little bit about instructional immediacy, and also looked at how might your Zoom presence look within the BB Learn setting. So in part 2, we're going to start diving into the specific tools within Zoom. We're going to start with a little bit about audio, video, and connectivity. So note that you can control all of your students in a Zoom meeting at one time by hitting a mute all button. Okay, so that's always very important as the instructor. You would find that in the participants tab. However, you cannot control students' audio quality at a distance. So a couple things to keep in mind. Make sure you have a quality microphone whenever you're in a Zoom meeting. If you have other students in the classroom with you and other students are connecting at a distance, then make sure that the students in the classroom can be heard as well, and that might be passing around a microphone or making sure that they come up to the microphone when they ask a question or possibly repeating the question so that those students at a distance can actually hear everything that's going on. Also, another possibility with video is there is a dual camera option within Zoom. I'll show you that, but it's something that you might want to consider if you want some flexibility in your teaching. Some instructors use a camera that is facing them at one point, but then they have another camera that's on a whiteboard or on a doc cam or something like that. So there is that option. Note too that even though I said earlier that I like students to be able to connect with their camera so that I can see them and they have a presence in the class, even though that they're connecting online, you could also consider that students that have a really low bandwidth for their internet may need to turn their camera off in order to get a better connection. I also recommend to students, of course, that they can connect via their phone to improve audio or video, things like that, depending on what devices they have access to. So let's take a look at the Zoom menus. This is a document that you have access to that's going to cover sort of all of the menu ideas, what they look like, what you might do with these menus, some very important information on controlling Zoom. So this is what the bar tab looks like at the bottom of the Zoom menu. And this is what it looks like if you share the screen. It will pop up to the top of the screen. So note that when you're in share screen mode, you still have access to everything that you did at the bottom of the screen. It just might be under the More tab over here. Okay, so it just looks a little bit different. To access your microphone or your video, you simply click on them to turn them on and off. So it's really, really simple. Getting to settings for your microphone or settings for your video, you use these up arrows next to them, so pretty straightforward. I like to tell all instructors to click on the Manage Participants tab, and the reason for that is that it will show you who is connected, and then it will also allow you to do things like mute an individual or ask an individual to turn their video on or turn it off, or you can make an individual a host. So you have all of that access through the Participants tab. Here's what share screen looks like. So if I go into share screen, it's going to pop up for me all of the different screen options that are. So let's take a look at what that actually looks like in a Zoom meeting. So if I go here and click share screen, you can see that every option that I have, every window that I have open gives me the option to share the screen. One of those options, note, is a whiteboard. So if you ever are instructing and you just need to be able to type some text or to draw something, you can do that on a whiteboard. Obviously not as easy to do when using a mouse as it would be, for instance, if you connected via an iPad or something like that. But do know that that whiteboard option is there if you want to use it. Okay, going back out of that and back into our Zoom menus. Notice that the chat box will let people chat to everyone or to individuals, so very important. You can also, as I said earlier, opt to turn off the private chat if you don't want individuals chatting to each other. Here's the record button. The recording a meeting button is very important things to keep in mind if you're going to record a meeting. First of all, you should not record to the cloud because we have limited cloud space and we have to share it. So it's better to record to your device, okay? And when you record, we'll go through what that might look like and where you might keep that in the advanced settings, okay? This is the gallery view button. It appears in the upper right hand corner of any Zoom meeting, and if you click on that, you can see everybody spread out equally across the screen instead of being on speaker view where you can only see the person that's talking. Okay, so it's up to you which one you want to utilize. If you want to pin somebody's video to the screen so that you're only seeing them, you can click the three buttons and then put pin video. Students also have the availability to do that from their end, and I will share a student guide that you can use for your class as well. Okay, the next thing we'll look at is the advanced features in Zoom. So there's another document here that you can access for advanced features. There are keyboard shortcuts for Zoom, so if you want to look through those, I have them hyperlinked there so that you can go through them. We had already talked about recurrent meetings, so we can kind of skip through that. Here's the recordings issue. So if you are going to record a Zoom meeting and your students are in the Zoom meeting, you need to consider FERPA and keep those videos so that they're only accessible to students in your class. Okay, so how would you go about that? One way is through OneDrive, so I can save the video to OneDrive. I can then share it with just the students in my class. So that is what a lot of faculty do. Another option would be to save it through Microsoft Stream, which we also have access to through our university accounts, and share it that way. Another really convenient feature is the polling feature. In order to create a poll, you have to create it within your meeting ahead of time, so you kind of have control over your polling questions and what those might look like. And let me show you that real quick. If I go back here and into my meetings, let me select just one of my meetings. After I've created a meeting, you'll notice down at the bottom it says you have not created any poll yet, and then there's an add button. So this only happens after you've created the meeting and you've saved it. When you click on that add, then you can add a title for that poll. So sometimes I see if people are going to poll multiple times during one class, they might do question 1, question 2, and so forth, so they know which one to choose very easily. You would type your question here. You would say, is it single choice? Is it multiple choice? And then you can write your answer options here. Okay, so simple as that. You add a question here. Now, what does that look like in the actual polling environment? Well, if I click on the tutorial here, it shows you what it looks like from the student point of view. So there was the add the poll. Once you launch the poll, your question pops up, and then you get live feedback that pops up as well. When you stop the poll, then you have the option to view or share those results with your students, and they can share them right out so that they can see how everybody answered in the class. Okay, so very interesting feature, gets utilized an awful lot actually by people that are familiar with Zoom and are using it a lot for classes. Nonverbal feedback is a feature that you can turn on that allows your participants to participate in another way where they're not having to constantly turn on and off their microphone. So if it's simple, like they have a question, they can raise their hand. If you have a question for them, they can do yes or no, or thumbs up, thumbs down. If they think you're going too fast, they can say go slower or something like that. They can clap, they can ask for a break if it's one of those really long classes, okay? So those are what the nonverbal gestures look like if you turn that feature on. Here are the breakout rooms. Okay, so breakout rooms allow you some flexibility as to how you set them up. They work really smoothly within Zoom as compared to experiences I've had with other tools. So basically, when you click the breakout room button, this box will pop up and it will ask you to assign your participants into a number of rooms. So it will tell you how many participants are currently in the meeting right here. And then you can select how many rooms you want them to go into. Now, you can either assign them automatically or you can assign them manually. If you assign them automatically, it just very smoothly pops them out into those breakout rooms, and you kind of don't have to worry about it after that point. If you assign them manually, it will have a little button next to each room that allows you to select the individual students that go into that breakout room. Okay, so if you go into the support documents about breakout rooms, you're going to see more information and a video for setting them up. Very straightforward though. Basically, from the student point of view, they get a little box that pops up that says you have been asked to join a breakout room, and they just click the join button to get into it, and then they are able to kind of participate from that point with their smaller group. When you're finished with breakout rooms, you can send out a message to students to click to stop them, and they will get a message that pops up saying that they've been asked to rejoin the larger group, and they just have to click to access it. You as an instructor are able to join any of the breakout rooms that you want to, so that you can drop in on the conversations and participate as much as you want. File transfer, here's what it looks like. So if I turn that feature on and I utilize it through the chat, I just upload the document that I want to share, and it shares it right through the chat, and they're able to download it at their end. So a very smooth way to go. Note that you can use things like virtual backgrounds within Zoom, not something that I do frequently. It's green screening basically. You can also use it on a wall that is all one color behind you, so you don't necessarily have to have green. Works best on green though, so that's something I've seen people use from time to time. That shared dual camera function is available within your settings. If you turn that on, it will allow you to share another camera. What does that look like? Basically, you would go to your screen share, but instead of sharing your screen, you share content from a different camera, and then you get this switch camera button up in the corner where you can switch to go from one camera that you have set up to the other camera that you have set up. Okay, so once you get that started, it works very smoothly. And that is the main things with the individual features. Here is the access to the Zoom for Students. It's a very simplistic document that just gives them the basics that they need to know for joining a meeting, for how to use their video and their microphone, for sharing their screen if you want them to do so, what gallery view looks like, the nonverbal feedback, and so on. Okay, so very simplistic document for them. I also put some information in here on recording. So talking about how you might set up an auto recording or recording without a host. So I linked that. Also, the Doceo Center lends cameras through the Curriculum Center in the College of Education, and the Meeting Owl camera and the Hue camera are both linked there if you're interested in either one of those. Other than that, here is my information. Feel free to get in touch with me for more support on using Zoom to teach or for your office hours. Thanks.